I'm a couple of minutes late, so I'm sorry for that, but I'm here. And in a minute, Sylvia's here with me, but she will be live with me on here in a second as well. I just want to make sure that LinkedIn has got us live, and once I know that LinkedIn has got us live, that's what I look like. You already knew that. Once I know that LinkedIn has got us live, then I'll start talking to Sylvia as well. If you're, LinkedIn tells me I'm live. If you are watching, then I would really appreciate a like or a comment. I can see that people are watching. I'm just doing a tiny bit of editing down here. You know, I do this every time. I do all my own tech. If you're here, say hello. I'm going to be talking to Sylvia about paid ads. I'm going to be talking about Google ads. I'm going to be asking Sylvia a load of questions, getting her to give us a load of really useful information. If you don't already know Silvia Coletto, you absolutely should. She's a speaker. She speaks on the same circuit as me. She talks about different things. Sylvia talks about paid ads, Google ads. Sylvia talks about the mistakes that people make before they start their ad campaign, because most people, most businesses don't think about what they need to do before they start their ad campaign. Who've we got? Roland is watching, Geffen is watching, Mahady is watching. Thank you, folks. Thanks for joining us on a Tuesday afternoon. It is Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So it is. So you can hear that Sylvia's here in the virtual studio with me. So let's stop pretending. Let's bring Sylvia on.
Oh, there you go.
And Sylvia is, she's a speaker, she's an author, she's a consultant on Google Ads and paid ads. And how's your day going, Sylvia, so far?
Quite busy, but yeah, as usual, there isn't one day that isn't busy. But no, it's going really well. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's always, I always enjoy talking to you, and the chance to talk to you publicly about this stuff is brilliant, because just give us a flavour of what sort of thing have you been working on over the last couple of days, because most of what you do now is consultancy for clients, isn't it, helping them
Yes.
with their paid ads.
Yeah, so it's consultancy. I mean, it's a couple of things really. It's consultancy for clients. I do also have some accounts that I'm managing myself, and on top of that, I am also preparing to expand my speaking, in order to not just be talking about Google Ads, but taking it one step higher. So you've already said that I talk about the mistakes people make with paid ads. Right now, I'm just taking it one step further up and talking about the mistakes in the customer journey. That regardless of whether you are doing paid ads or not, if you're doing any marketing, these mistakes in the customer journey that also apply to ads would stop you from basically getting more leads and more sales into your business. So I'm trying to speak about something that is, regardless of where it's Google Ads, Facebook ads, social media, it's still applicable because it's all the same customer journey.
Wow, there's a lot in that, because so many people just think that paying for ads or boosting a post on Facebook, for example, some people think that as long as they do that, that the magic's going to happen,
No,
and that they're suddenly going to start selling more. People who've
no, I'm sorry.
go on, tell me
No,
what's wrong with
no,
that for.
no. So that assumption, unfortunately, is wrong, and is the easiest way to explain it is, even years ago, and I'm talking about 2016. Um, it was common knowledge and data at the time that a person would need at least 7 touch points in during the journey in order to inquire or buy from a business, depending, of course, if that's a B2B or a B2C. So already in 2016, when the mobile usage was less than today and internet usage was less than today, a person would need 7 interactions on average in order to buy from you. Now, whether that's 7, 5, 10, or 12, I'm not saying that's the number. What I'm saying is, one interaction only is not going to cut it. So whether the one interaction is from social, from your website, from paid ads, is still the same. Like, you do have to have a presence in all the places where you know the specific customer hangs out. And of course, this is going to be different for each industry. So it's not the same. It's not the same places, but ultimately we're all human beings. So the way we buy as human beings is the same. We just have to adapt based on the specific industry and where those people hang out. But the the obstacles that we have to overcome, and the questions that they're going to have, and like the trust that we need like to get before them inquiring with us is always the same.
So, so what should people? Because I've been talking about that a lot recently as well. The fact how social media, how Web 2.0 has changed how we buy things. Where where should someone start, Sylvia, on their journey before they start investing in Google Ads? What's the very first thing that they should do?
Well, the very first thing is to actually know who your customer is. And
Okay.
unfortunately, it would you would think it would be obvious that you know who your customer is, but I see a lot of businesses that start with an idea and start, I know what I'm going to do. This thing nobody's ever done. I've got a product, I've got a service. They put together the service, but they haven't actually thought about who they're going to sell it to. They just get the idea and then they build it, and then they wonder why nobody buys it. Where it should be the other way around. You see that somebody's got a problem. There's a problem that hasn't been solved by anybody in that specific industry, and you build the product or the service based on the need and the problem that is not being fixed. And once you know the problem that they have, you also have the narrative, because you know the problem, you know how much, like how much more grief and like it creates for them, what other problems come off the back of that single problem. You know what they're struggling with, you know where they want to get, so all of a sudden it's a lot easier for you to say the right things, and you have the right message in order to attract them. But when businesses work the other way around, so I've got a great idea, and then you build the idea, and then the idea doesn't go anywhere because that's not actually what people want. That's what happens most of the time. So very first thing, and it doesn't even have to do with marketing, you see, it is, you have to know who you're speaking to, and you have to know that the product is a product that solves a problem that that audience actually has, because otherwise it's just not, it's clearly not going to work.
So you can't just invent a new product or service and then throw some money at it.
No, if it doesn't meet a need, an existing need, there's no point. Like, you've just wasted a lot of time and money building a product or a service, building a website, building collateral for something that you did not have proof that people needed.
If you're watching us and you don't follow Sylvia already, Sylvia puts an absolute ton of content out there. You can hear I'm moving around, can't you? I'm trying to do something without people noticing, but I've got a problem with the camera, which I'm just fixing whilst people aren't looking at me, and I'm pretending that what I'm actually doing is just taking a break in that. It is relevant because Sylvia puts a ton of content out there. I'm going to show you, actually. If you don't follow Sylvia already, go and find her on LinkedIn. Go and find Sylvia and look at her content, because as well as talking to me live, Sylvia puts a load of recorded videos out there, as you can see, about what she talks about, and she seems to talk about Harry Potter as well. We won't come
Of
on to that
course.
today.
Well, like I needed to, but yeah, and a lot of content about digital touch points, about paid advertising, common mistakes, updates in the industry, some case studies, just to make sure that I just know what to do, what I say I know how to do. And yeah, biggest problem that you solve for customers, there you go, this actually ties with what I've just said. Yeah, I try to publish every weekday,
You
so it's
seem
four
to.
four or five times a week.
I'm just going to do that because what I'm going to do whilst we're chatting is, let's bring us back. I'm going to put the link to Sylvia on
Oh,
LinkedIn right there
thank
in the
you.
chat. So if you don't follow Sylvia on LinkedIn already, I strongly suggest you do. If you've got any questions for Sylvia about paid ads, about Google ads, about networking and using LinkedIn, because I like to think I know about this stuff, but I'm watching how Sylvia is building her relevant following of the right people, and it's really, really very clever. If you've got any questions for us, pop them in the comments below and we'll answer them. We will bring your comment up on screen, just like I'm doing
Hello.
with Roland's there. Hello, Roland,
Hi.
and hello, Geffin, and hello,
Hello.
Mahady, all of the people who are with us this afternoon. So if you've got a comment, do ask. If you've got something to ask about paid ads, do ask. So sort of moving on then to the theme of the discussion that we're having this afternoon.
Yeah.
Some people will try to do this stuff for themselves, and some people will do it well, and some people will do it badly. The people who decide to go out and hire a paid ad specialist, a Google ad specialist, what questions should they be asking? How do they know that they're choosing the right person?
So, well, first of all, these are the same questions regardless of the size of the company that you decide to employ. So if you are looking for a freelancer because you're a smaller business, the same questions applies as you would ask to an agency if you were a bigger business and you decided, no, I mean, we need a lot of time on this account, so we need an agency because they're going to have more people and more time to dedicate. Well, first of all, during the first meeting, you do have to look out for signs that these people know what they're talking about. The first one is that during the first meeting, you should barely know anything about them. They should spend most of the meeting asking you questions, and the question shouldn't be, "Hey, what do you want us to do?" The questions should be around your business. So I'm talking about the strategy of the business, what's your other marketing plan, what products are you trying or services are you trying to push, then going into the specifics about, okay, so how much, what's the average value of one of these clients for these specific services, how long do they stay with you, what is the actual margin that you have on these products or service, what's your is your sales process like. So for every 10 inquiries that they get into your business, do you know how many you convert into a customer? Because there of course changes how much you can afford to pay for a lead, and overall whether the campaign is going to be profitable or not in the long term. So the first thing if they don't ask you these questions, that are very much business orientated, and they're all like, oh, let me tell you all about us and how amazing we are and how many people we've got, and look at the ping pong table and the pizza that we get on Fridays, that avoid, because they're trying to be really you know and forgive me if I say this, a little bit hipster, as in, the cool agency vibe, like we've got such a great culture. But to be honest, that's amazing. But the most important thing is that they know what they're talking about. Because if they don't have that information from you, and they don't ask the information from you, nothing they're gonna propose has got any foundation. It's all just guesswork. So you do need that thing first.
I think years ago, I mean, it's a really interesting point. I guess it applies to any marketer that you're hiring, actually, in any field, doesn't it? Because the more they understand about your business, the more they're going to be able to help you. The more they tell you about their business, the more they're just trying to sell to you. I hired a Facebook ads specialist years ago who, if I think back now, didn't really ask me anything about what we were trying to sell.
Of
And,
course.
and I guess I was naive at that point. It was in the very early days of Facebook ads, and they told me they
Mhm.
would sell me a load of tickets. And so I just went along with it. But I guess if I think back, they really didn't ask me much about what we were trying to achieve from the campaign. So I should have seen that as a red flag. I'm too used to talking to you. You've got me talking about red flags now. I should have seen that
See?
Yeah,
Well, that's good. That's what I'm looking for.
well, it should have been a red flag to me to know that they weren't the right people. So when you first get to know them, they should ask all about you. What other
Yeah.
things, what other sorts of things should be coming up in conversation?
So the other thing that should come up in conversation is clarity on the budget, because you can't like there can't be a back and forth of you saying to them, "Hey, how much should we spend?" Like you know that you have a budget that you can't afford to spend over X amount until proof of revenue is there, so that of course you can reinvest the revenue back into Google Ads. So it's in your interest to avoid the games, so to speak, and say, okay, this is the budget that I can work with, so that if they've asked all the right questions, then they can make projections based on the budget. Sure, they can give you an indication. Okay, so then if you say that your budget is, I don't know, 3,000, let's say, they make the projections on 3,000, but then they also are of interest. They could show you what 5 grand would look like or 7 grand would look like. But there's no point in them doing all the work to say, oh, ideally we should do this for 10 grand when you can only afford three. Because then what they propose and what the structure of the account and how many campaigns you can run changes massively based on how much budget you've got. So it's a waste of time on their side, it's a waste of time on your side, because you don't get the thing, like the most important thing. So what can I do with the budget that I've got at the moment? And the last thing that I would say is really important is that there has to be absolute clarity on how they're going to work and how they charge, so their fees. So there are different. There isn't just one way to charge. So different agencies and freelancers do different things. For example, some like me work on a percentage of advertising spend. Like you go up in stages from X amount to X amount of advertising spend, I charge this. From X amount to X amount, I charge that. There are then other companies that don't work on advertising spend, that they just work out the amount of hours that they're going to need on this account on a monthly basis, and they charge per hour. And there are other agencies that go on a performance model. So they're saying, okay, we charge the minimum possible to keep the account going. But then, especially in the case of e-commerce, when it's a lot faster to see the return on investment, because it's money that is spent straight away. In that case, they're saying, oh, we charge the minimum for maintenance, but then we want a percentage of revenue that we give you. So it's an incentive for them to do better. It's a lot easier for e-commerce to do this because of the almost immediate nature of the transactions, whereas for B2B, you've got sales cycles that sometimes are months or even years. A percentage of revenue wouldn't really apply. Like, it's really hard to do that, but e-commerce is different. So it has to be very clear how they charge. Two things to bear in mind. Number one, they shouldn't be asking for you to pay them the advertising spend. So the advertising spend it's paid on the account. So basically, you have a card there. Google takes progressively the advertising spend, and they should only be charging you their management fee. It's suspicious if they're asking you to pay for the advertising spend as well. Unless they are big companies, and what they do is basically they have maybe tens of accounts, and they all under the same big umbrella. It's an account called the MCC. So basically, they have a container with all the clients, and they get one invoice from Google at the end of the month for all of them that then they split, in which case makes sense. But for smaller agencies, you should be able to have your card on your account and spend the money. The advertising spend goes directly to Google, and they just charge for the fee. Because the problem that you would have otherwise is that the money, the advertising spend is not their money, it's advertising spend. So they would have to hold it in their bank account and not spend it because that's advertising spend, and accounting wise it's hard work and it's classed as disbursement. So then you would have to do all sorts of complicated calculation to say, okay, this is not revenue for the business, this is advertising spend, it shouldn't be here, should be in a different account, creates all sorts of problems. So they shouldn't be asking you to pay them the advertising spend, just that. And the last thing is, they also bear in mind, at no point they should be asking you, and they should be telling you that they are going to run your campaigns in their account. It's just not a thing. No, absolutely not. It is your account, your business, your asset. You add them to your account. They work for however long you want them to work there. The moment they don't work for you anymore, you remove the email address, they can't access it anymore. Because if they run campaigns in their account, first of all, there's no point in doing that, but that's really shady, because the moment you then stop working with them, they are under no obligation to give you an export of the campaigns because it's in their account. So what they're going to do is they're going to say, no, it's our property because it's in our account. Don't make that mistake. They either work in your existing account, or you create the account, or somebody else does it for you and you add them, and then when you don't work, they don't work with you anymore, you remove them. But the account has to be in your control 100% of the time. It's your asset, not theirs.
There's a lot to think about, isn't there? I mean, for a lay person like me who doesn't do this stuff day in day out, it is a wonder that people just throw their money at it or just start doing it without giving it any thought. I know you touched on something there. I work with a lot of B2B service providers. How, and I know what the answer to this is, but I think the people listening and
Yeah.
watching should know what the answer. How long should it take to work? If you start investing in Google ads for your business, in paid ads for your business, how long would you realistically expect it to take to work?
Average 90 days.
Okay, that's a good answer. That gives people an idea, at least, doesn't it, of what they should be expecting.
Average 90 days. And I'm saying that because I've had B2B accounts that have started, have received inquiries after a week.
Okay.
And I've had B2B businesses that took 2.5 months, because it rarely works the first time around. Like, you have an idea of what you want to do, and then when you implement it and you start spending the money, it doesn't work. Then you have to try another thing, and then you have to try another thing, and then you have to try another thing. And the sum of all those trials is that at the end of the 90-day period, you have a pretty good understanding of what's working and what's not working. So what you do is then, of course, you keep what's working, and you stop what's not. And then from that point, you don't have enough data in order to, well, of course, if you're spending enough, which is at least £1,000 a month, with that you have enough data to then say, okay, so based on this campaign that worked, if I then now multiply, if I then want to say to get from 10 inquiries to 20, I have to multiply the cost of one inquiry by 20 to give me a rough indication of how much I would need to spend in order to get more inquiries. Now, of course, this is simplification. It depends on lots of other things. It depends on the types of keywords that you've got. It depends on the bidding strategy that you're on. So how you decide to go, because there are several bidding strategies, and they all have different objectives, and they all work at different stages of the account. So you start with something and probably transition to something a little bit more advanced when you've got more data. But either way, for an average industry where the cost per click isn't disproportionately expensive, £1,000 a month is a good testing budget. It should increase unless the B2B, like the business is really, really, really niche. It should increase, but that is enough of of a budget in order to have answers after 90 days. And if after 90 days nothing is working, after doing all the testing, it's unlikely that it's ever going to work.
I think that's very honest. I'm just going to put that back on screen for a second. I don't think it's very honest. I know it's very honest because you've talked about trialing things at first, and I wonder how many. I wonder how many specialists sort of promise certainty. Just before we get onto that, for those of you who've joined us recently, if you don't already follow Silvia on LinkedIn, just do. There she is. There, I've already put a link to her on LinkedIn in the comments, and she's tagged in this post that accompanies this video as well. So do go and connect with Silvia because she talks so much sense. Silvia actually talks much more sense than she knows she does. She underplays just how much she knows about this stuff. But I've got a huge amount of respect for Silvia. So do follow her on LinkedIn. If you've got any questions, we'll be here for about another 10 minutes. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below and we'll answer them. What about people who start off, Silvia, by telling you that they definitely know it's going to work? Can anyone absolutely guarantee you that a campaign is going to work right from the outset?
If it's a new campaign, no. Because you don't have any data. So if they've got a Google Ads account already and they've got similar campaigns in there, if those, provided that the setup was already correct, if they had results there, there is a high likelihood that you're going to have results here. But certainty, absolutely not. Like, I would never say to anybody, I promise you 100% this is going to work, because I can't. That would be, what's the word? That would be deceitful on my part.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I mean, I have a certain degree of like accuracy after doing this for a long time, in like I can gauge whether this is most likely, but most likely is the best that I can do.
And do you, for people who are listening to this or watching this and interested in engaging with you, where's the best place for them to find you? I know I've brought up your LinkedIn profile a couple of times. Where's the best place for people to check out your content, Silvia, and find out more about you and what you do?
Well, the majority of the fresh content is on LinkedIn. So it's that and the DMs in there. But if you want to have a look at the services, that's a different story. That's on the website, which if you see in my LinkedIn profile, I've got my website linked as part of that.
There you go.
But yeah, so this is my website. It's freshly redone. So I'm actually quite proud of this, because I believe it's really straightforward, and there is no secret what I do, and it's very easy to get to wherever, and has got some really explanation. Like, for example, I'm seeing in here, you see in yellow, aren't you supposed to tell me Google Ads are amazing and work every single time? And I said, yes, if I only cared about getting money from you, but I don't. I care about doing the best job that I can. And if I realize that I cannot do the best job that I can for you because some things are missing, I'm not going to say no to running the ads. And I'm going to say instead, look, there are these things that needs to be fixed first. It's in your best interest to not spend any money until you fix these things.
You've got To my shame, actually, I've not seen this website before. You've changed it really recently.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been just 2 months, and if you see like if you look at the services pages, those are the best part of the website, to be honest.
Okay, let's
Yeah,
go to
all, they're all the same. So each one of these tiles takes you to one of the to yes. So
so let's go and have a look at that. Okay.
this is divided into getting more information. So when I'm saying Google Ads Audit, I'm saying, okay, why should you get it? How does it work? What things do I cover? Is it good for you or not? And then I give a starting price, and then of the starting price I'll also give a um, recommendations of services that could go with it. But yeah, so it's all the same because it's all interconnected at the end of the day. So it's you should, by reading this page, you should know if this is likely to be a good service for you or not. If you
Okay.
don't understand it from the content on this page, I've done my job wrong. Again, this is part of the customer journey. If I don't make it clear here and I don't answer your fears here, I haven't done my job properly. And if I ran ads to this website without answering these questions, my ads wouldn't work.
So you're literally taking your own advice here, aren't you?
Exactly. I'm not running ads to this website at the moment. And the
Okay.
reason is because what I say to people is that you do need to have a certain amount of inquiries per month organically in order for it to make it worthwhile to run ads. So I haven't reached that threshold at the moment because of time. So I'm not going to do that. And on top of that, paid advertising as an industry, paid advertising keywords are very expensive. We're talking about 25 to 30 quid for a click. And at the moment, I find that strategy wise, my most cost effective inquiries come from LinkedIn. So I'm going to leverage LinkedIn first and then bring in paid advertising for this. See, again, paid ads is not right for every business. Right now is not right for mine. So putting my money where my mouth is.
I think that's amazing. I genuinely do. I can whip through the other. There's the consultancy service in here as well, which tells you all about the consultancy, all about working with Silvia. There's the training. I really like your website, Silvia. And
Thank you.
I know who helped you with it as well. I've just looked at the bottom and
Yes,
I can
yes.
see John Scotcher of Pearson Treehouse. I'm going to give him a shout out here.
Yeah,
That
shout out.
explains
Great job.
that explains about the training, and Sylvia's written a book, Are You Ready for Paid Ads, which covers a lot of what we've talked about this afternoon. And I've just noticed you've said there's you reckon it's about a 2 hour read, don't you, for people
Yes,
to
I
really
reckon.
understand where they need to start.
Yeah. If you're an average reader, it's 2 hours. If you're fast, it's less than 2 hours. If you're a slow reader, probably 3 or 4. But it's really straightforward, and yeah, this is a blurb like what you're gonna get from it. And I'm just gonna say that the best review that I got from it is that this guy was babysitting his 2-year-old niece, and he read it in an hour and a half with babysitting his niece with Coco Melon playing in the background, and he still got the point of this book. So it's that easy. There's no jargon in there, and there is no complication.
I'm going to put all of this. Let's bring Sylvia and me back on screen because no one needs to look at the top of my head doing stuff. I'm going to put that in the comments. If you've got any questions about anything that Sylvia and I are talking about, even if you're watching on the replay, put them in the comments below and I'll tag Sylvia every time and make sure she gets to see them. What else do you think you need to tell people, Sylvia? What haven't I asked which you think that people need to know?
For the topic, how to find the right Google Ads partner, the only other thing that I would suggest is after you've figured out if this person or this business is right for you because they've asked all the right question, they've been transparent with everything. The only other thing is, on top of it, if you have multiple choices and you could go with multiple partners, choose the one that you're aligned with and that you get on the best with, because that makes a difference. Because they don't only have to understand your business, it would also be better if you liked each other at a personal level, because then the conversation is a lot easier. And with most of my clients right now, I'm on a WhatsApp message basis, as in, there's no need for official monthly reviews when you sit down and you're like troll through the data. I'm saying every time something changes in the account, or I make create a new ad, I create a new campaign, something happens, like something improved, uh, another record inquiries for a week. I literally just fire them a WhatsApp message, and what happens then is that they are kept in the loop on a regular basis, and they actually don't need the end of the month catch. I mean, I do it anyway, but they wouldn't need it because they already know what's going on. And being involved, even if you don't want to know the details because you don't care, that's fair enough. But if somebody gives you regular updates at the level you want it, so let's not go into the nitty gritty, but top level, you need to know this, this, and this. And the bottom line is, you want to know that the account is taken care of, that there's nothing to worry about, and then you can forget about it and concentrate on other stuff that needs attention. So all this is done and should be done by suppliers and advertising partners in a way that you need reassurance that things are taken care of, and you don't need to look at that because it's one less problem for you to have. If they give you that reassurance, it's a good advertising partner. If they require you to chase, to ask for updates, to basically add another problem to your plate instead of taking it away from you, it is not the right partner for your business.
That makes a ton of sense. I think, again, we're talking about paid ads and Google ads this afternoon, but what you're saying applies to so many
Yeah, exactly. It's
marketing agencies generally. If you're having to chase them, then that shouldn't really be the case.
Or if they ask you, hey, what do you want us to do? What are you talking about? What do you want us to do? Like, you are the specialist. You should tell me what to do, not the other way around. If I knew what to do, I wouldn't ask you, would I? So it's the proactiveness of suggesting stuff. I'm not saying that they're always correct, but at least they proactively say, "Oh, I would do these things. Let me just double check with you that's correct, or I've got the right information." But they come to you with solutions and with options, and you can say, "Oh, yes, this is correct. Like, that makes perfect sense." "Oh, no, this one is not really. So let me tell you exactly how it works so that they adjust their approach." But it should proactively come from them what to do. They shouldn't be asking you what to do.
No, that
Because,
makes a
yeah,
ton of
and
sense because I wouldn't
yeah.
know what to ask. I know a little bit about these things, but I would expect the specialist to know
Well,
what to
yeah,
ask
like
rather than me, the client, to know
they
what
should
to
say
ask.
to you, this is what we're gonna do for this set of reasons. This is the rationale behind it, because they have to be able to justify it. Otherwise, they're just picking stuff out of like guesswork. But after they should be able to say these things, and then they should be say with enough confidence that, "Oh, we believe this is going to work." And then you're reviewing it and you're saying, actually, I'd rather push this product instead of this, or I'd rather. So maybe they're saying, okay, one thing you haven't considered, one of my USPs is that I do this, and other people don't. Like, so if they have some bits missing, as in what could make this better, that is when you're like, oh, your knowledge of the business, because it's your business, is a lot better than theirs, so you can advise on that bit. but in terms of strategy, in terms of what they have to do from a paid advertising point of view, absolutely no way. If they ask you what do you want them to do, for example, and I'm throwing no shade here before we close, like we finish this conversation. Freelancers on Fiverr or on other like this the cheap platforms, they come to you with, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. So if you give I need this to build this campaign with these assets, they'll go into the account, they will build this campaign with those assets, that's it. There's no consultancy, there's no asking, oh, why do you want to do it this way? There's no suggestion is we probably should do it this other way. There's no these assets are probably not that good, so I would need this type of assets instead, or I should change the ad copy because this one is not, all this consultancy stuff. It's fundamental because I don't trust a person that is not an advertiser to know what's required in order to advertise. Because it's a business owner, usually, or a marketing manager. They have knowledge about the business, but they don't have specialist knowledge about advertising. So once I got the knowledge, the initial questions that I asked for this specific reason, then I'm saying to them, okay, based on what we've got at the moment, I need this, and this. And the reason is because X, Y, Z. And then with this, I'm going to create this campaign. This is the purpose for this campaign. This is what we're trying to achieve. But this is a much easier and a much better approach than asking a person who's not a specialist to give the direction for the account. What do they know? Sometimes they haven't even been in a Google Ads account before or any other paid advertising account before. So how would they know? So the good agency or the good freelancers for you advises instead of just being the note taker that just does what you tell them to do, because that's not a good way to approach it, because you don't need the responsibility to tell somebody else what to do when you're looking for guidance yourself.
That makes, yeah, everything that you've said this afternoon makes so much sense. I'll tell you something that I'm interested in. So you've written the book.
Yeah.
You're speaking at events.
Yeah.
For various reasons, I was hoping to see you this year, but I'm not going to bump
That's
into you for
fine.
the rest of the year because
Next year.
I'm not going to be at these events now. What's next for you, Silvia? What's next for you and the business?
So next for me is I'm getting into professional speaking. So I'm going to be speaking about customer journey at like I'm on my way. I haven't got booked anything at the moment, but I'm expecting the beginning of next year to have the first bookings. So on the professional speaking, on the customer journey side, and on the but when it comes to my business, there's going to be a shift towards more consultancy. And then depending on the types of clients that potentially inquire and that I get to work with, there's also the opportunity when off the back of the consultancy, if work needs to be done, there's probably going to be a partnership with my existing agency.
Amazing.
where there's the capacity and the amount of people that is needed to do the work, whether that's PPC, whether that's SEO, or whether that's website development, because those are usually the three areas that most businesses need some help with, because there are those areas in the customer journey where some of them or several of them needs adjusting to make sure that the business, at least from an inbound point of view, gets more inquiries, either because they get found more with PPC, because they get found more because their SEO is better, or because the user journey on the website is improved. Either way, it all contributes to more inquiries into the business.
If you're running an event, if you're watching this, if you're watching it live or you're watching it on replay, and you're running a business event and you're looking for a speaker, go and talk to Silvia. Like, I've seen Silvia speak. I've seen Silvia speak at business shows and expos, live and virtually as well. Silvia can speak at virtual events just like I do. if you're looking for a speaker who can talk about the detail of things like Google Ads, do get in touch with Silvia, please do. And that it's like a genuine endorsement from me. I've seen Silvia speak. I've seen Silvia speak at events. I've seen her get inquiries at events as well where she's spoken, because people can see that she knows what she's talking about. So go and talk to Silvia, and if you're not connected, that's where Silvia is. That's where you'll find her. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, Silvia. Let's bring us back on screen. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I'm going to press the button which switches us off in a minute. Is there anywhere else that people should find you? We've got your LinkedIn profile. We've got your website, which I've shown to people as well. Anywhere else where you'd like people to connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, on my website, you're gonna see on the top right that I've got an icon for LinkedIn, an icon for TikTok, as you can see the
Okay.
top right there. Yeah. So I am also on TikTok. I'm not as present as I am on LinkedIn with the same frequency, but I'm active on there, and it's different content than it is from LinkedIn. So it's not a copy and paste. I do different things. And yeah, if you happen to be on TikTok, I'm on there as well.
Silvia, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I know you've got a really busy day, so let's just
Yeah.
press that button, bring us back on. So I'm going
Story of my
to,
life. Yeah.
yeah, I know that. I know from trying to speak to you recently, you're so busy, which is
Like,
brilliant news.
well, it is a good thing, you know. I've run out of hours. I'm fully booked now for at least until the end of the year, at least, but probably into January, and then I'm probably gonna start opening up again in February, because at the moment it's just all hands on deck.
If you want to work with Sylvia, get in now. Go and talk to her before she gets completely booked up for the rest of next year. Thank you, Sylvia, for joining us. I'm going to press the button which switches us off. So thank you for spending some time with us this afternoon. Thank you for being with us. Let's put that on there.